Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Shed Envy podcast. Since our last episode a few weeks ago, which featured James Taylor, we've sort of gone to ground a bit. We've had a few bits and pieces to do in terms of work and a few illnesses and stuff. We're both currently struggling today for very different reasons. So we're doing this virtually for the time being. But obviously, this has been recorded, about 24 hours pretty much since yesterday's Irish Cup defeat to get away to Glentoran. So that's obviously going to be a main topic of conversation. And we also, for all those people that entered the competition after our last podcast to win a signed home, away or third shirt of their choice, we have picked the winner, or we will be picking the winner, and we will show you that later on and then get in contact with the winner. So starting off, I suppose the obvious starting point is yesterday's Irish Cup game. Now I know you weren't at it, Ally, because you were they got the dreaded lurgy.
Yeah. Finally got it 2 years on. Finally got it.
Yeah. Fair play.
I can't really complain. Like I missed last week's game because it was in London on a stag do, and we went to 2 football matches. But we went to West Ham game and we were at the Carpenter's Arms beforehand, and honestly, I think there was about 500 people in the place. So I thought if ever you're going to get it, it's going to be this weekend, and it caught up with me, But it hit me pretty bad. So I've just gutted to miss the Irish Cup game, missed that big day out.
Well, the good thing is that leads us perfectly into you may get another day out. As we sit here at the moment, I'm sure unless you've been living under a rock over the last 24 hours, which, going by the state of some of the supporters last night in Trainer's Bar at Dan's, a few of them may not have risen from under the rocks today. We've all seen the story about the registration, what appears to be another registration fiasco. We certainly can't take anything for granted, but what it's looking like at the moment is that there's an eligibility issue with Joe Crow, who played for Glentoran yesterday, and it now looks most likely that we will be reinstated into the competition and we'll be into the semi-final to play Ballymena. However, it is important to stress that it's certainly not a done deal. It's certainly not confirmed as yet. But everyone's been in the public domain. Everybody's probably read everything. And as far as we're aware, I'm sure the club will be contacting the IFA. It's an odd feeling. Darren said it after the game yesterday that he hadn't been aware of any eligibility stuff straight after the game, but he did sort of state, he says, if there was an issue like that, you'd always prefer to win the game on the pitch. So I think, which I think is fair enough. Like I think we'd all be the same. You want to win the game fair and square, but then I suppose the question could be asked: well, was it fair and square if there was a player who wasn't eligible playing for the opposition? But in terms of the game, obviously I was there and then watched the highlights again today, and it's always good to watch the highlights to get a different perspective from it, especially when you're at a different ground, and a ground that maybe you haven't been to in a while. So you see things differently from different angles and things like that. I'm sure you watched the highlights today, did you?
I watched the game live yesterday. I streamed it. I paid for the Glens stream yesterday. My friend Aaron Agnew is their commentator. So I said to you in the week, in the build-up, that I was confident that we could maybe get something out of it. I was at the Glens game a few weeks ago against Linfield, and then they've gone and played Lauren, they've played Cliftonville, they've played Crusaders. Like, those are big games, big derby matches for them, where there's a lot of fans. And I just had the feeling that yesterday it would be a bit flat on a Saturday afternoon kickoff as opposed to a Friday night under the lights on TV. I thought that would be a bit flat. They didn't get the same crowd out yesterday. I just had a feeling that might be a bit of a come down, with their eyes kind of looking towards the league on Tuesday night as well. So I think it was a super performance from Newry, and I think all the players, regardless of what happens, whether we get through on this technicality, but they could hold their heads up high thinking, okay, we've gone down there, we've actually shown that we can mix it at this level. So, but I thought we played very well the first half. I thought the Glens were comfortable enough. Maybe we just, it took us a while to get settled into it. But the second half, I thought we were absolutely outstanding. And as it turns out, Donnelly's goal appeared to be offside as well. So to go down there against the best team probably in the country this season anyway, and to come away really with know with an offside goal being the difference was massive. We hit the crossbar with a boiler header, hit the post with that.
John McGovern header.
McGovern hit the post as well, and I just don't know how that didn't go in. Like, it looked for certain it was about to go in, and we had a couple of other chances as well. So, you know, apart from Donnelly breaking in the second half when he beat Boiler and Maguire came out to him, they didn't really help much. And, you know, I've seen a lot of things saying we didn't play well or we're this or we're that. I think, like, we went down to the team that's been playing most teams off the park this season and given them a really tough afternoon. And for certain Newry expats now living in East Belfast, I think it really kind of showed them that they should be supporting the local club instead of going down there.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that certain person you reference probably won't be tuning into a Newry City podcast, given some of his tweets and references. Not specifically, weirdly, not specifically aimed at the football club, but in Newry in general. Look, it's their own, you know. I have to say, I mean, just before we actually sort of get talking about in more in depth, maybe about the chances and stuff, we were looked after pretty well down at the Oval yesterday. We brought a decent crowd. You know, the numbers were there. Glentoran were impressed by the amount of support that we brought. I spoke to one of the Glentoran sort of officials yesterday, and he said that, you know, they played Portadown a couple of years ago. The season Portadown got promoted. Portadown took them to penalties in the Irish Cup, and he said we were twice the team. In his opinion, we were twice the team they were. So it was nice, complimentary. Everything went off well. You know, it was a good bit of crack. In terms of the match itself, yeah, what you said. First half, it was quite a flat game. It was quite, in general, it was quite flat, and the pitch probably didn't make for. The pitch looked good from where we were standing, but it caught up really quickly, and you could see it in the highlights how sort of bumpy it was. But look, you know what, it's the time of year, I suppose. Maybe didn't make it conducive to great football. I think we probably showed them a wee bit too much respect in the first half. You know. But, you know, that might have been a deliberate sort of plan in terms of, you know, just sort of sitting back and, as you said, sort of feeling your way into the game and getting settled. I thought Stephen Maguire had a very good game. He did, as he said to me last night after the game, he said, to be fair, he says, those are saves I shouldn't be making. We made 2 or 3 saves. He says, I'll be disappointed we didn't. And you're going, fair enough, I suppose you still have to do it. Thought Lorcan Ford probably certainly had his best game for us, particularly second half, since he's joined. I thought he was excellent. Did say to him last night, goes, you see when you've nutmegged 2 players, you know, just hit it, will you? Don't try and nutmeg him again.
God, shoot! That's what I'm saying.
To be fair, he finished off my sentence, but I didn't even need to say the word shoot. He goes, you want me to shoot, do you?
Well, you know what, I'll put up my photograph here. I took a photo of me sitting watching the game yesterday in my view, but I like he nutmegged those 2 people. And even the commentators were like, why is he not shot? Like, it looked. I think he made about 20 yards, and I was just like, oh, this is just calling out for a screamer here. But, you know, as you said, like, Lorcan has been. I think he's played reasonably well since he's joined us, and yesterday was definitely his best game in a Newry jersey. And I think it bodes well. You know, that front 3 of Tiemann, McGovern, Ford, and then Dingo in front of them. Like, that's a strong. It's a strong front line. Like, you know, I think that'll be good. Hopefully, if we get to the Premiership.
And I think though, I mean, just on Dingo, as far as I'm aware, when he ducked late on, yesterday, I mean, as far as I know, he's suspended for the next 2 games, which is going to be a big blow because he's up to 10 yellow cards now. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I'm led to believe. Second half, I mean, you know, we sort of got. Whilst we didn't, it wasn't necessarily a bombardment from us. But as you said, like John, you know, it was a brilliant header from Philly's corner, and I was standing sort of down the side. And McCarry's save was, it's very difficult to see, maybe on the highlights, how good a save it was. It was right down the angle of it, and it was a phenomenal save. And, you know, we'd have scored there, who knows? I mean, it might have given them a kick up the backside, you know, that maybe they required. The one where John hit the post, was sort of, it hit off him and hit the post, and then Dingo the chances afterwards. I was standing right behind the goal, currently scoffing a £4.50 cheeseburger at that point, and it nearly got thrown in the air. I thought the ball was going to go back in the net, but thankfully I was able to finish it. But yeah, you were just sort of, there's a lot of all the talk prior to it, and then all the talk subsequently, you know, in terms of the actual football, was we just needed, the result was probably secondary in terms of the performance. it might be a bit of a cliche that, but after the previous week's performance against Anna, particularly the first half of that game, what was required was a performance. And then, yes, if we get beaten 1-0, 2-0, whatever it may have been, as long as the boys went out and looked to be sort of back to what they've been doing well all season, that was crucial, and they absolutely did that. So we have the potential added bonus of getting into an Irish Cup semi-final if things go the way they're going. But the football itself, we can park that now for whatever it may be, and until that's all decided. With 3 massive games coming up in the next week. We're now off the top of the table for how long is it?
Well, I think it's the first time since November when we drew away to Ards that night. They went above us, and then when we beat Welders, the first team to beat the Welders at the Blanchflower Stadium, we ended up going back top that time. So we haven't been off the top since early November. Yeah. So that's something new for us to deal with. I mean, we've had 8 and 9 point leads, and we've blown them a few times, and now somehow, I don't know how, 4 weeks ago we were looking at this thinking, oh, okay, a couple more wins and we're comfortable enough. All of a sudden, Loughgall, those points from Loughgall are handed back to Anna. They beat us at home. They win yesterday, we didn't play, and now we're 2 points behind. So it's just a mental league, isn't it? Mental.
Yeah. So I think that, obviously, that as I touched on earlier, the 3 games in the next 7 days from Tuesday, they are 2 games in hand. Obviously, Knockbeater one that was called off that day because of snow. Mm-hmm. Look, we're expected to go and beat them. We're expected to beat them at home. We're expected to beat them away. So it's up to, if we play the way we can play, we will win that game. In my opinion, anyway. The Ards game, I think. We've maybe been looking at it previously and thinking, been on a poor run and stuff. I think they hammered Ballyclare 5-0 yesterday. Maybe they're getting a bit of that new manager bounce from Matthew Tipton. That's certainly going to be a tricky one and a massive game. And then that brings us into probably an even bigger game away at Loughgall the following Tuesday. Now, we've won now, and we're the only, I think as far as I know, we're the only team to have scored 3 goals against them at Lakeview Park this season. We won 3-1 that day, and probably could have scored more. We were really, really good that day. I think that to be fair to say that this next sort of 10 days to 2 weeks, what happens both on and off the pitch is going to have could be construed as a defining point of your season. Mm-hmm. You'd like to be sitting with 9 points from your next 3 league games. I certainly feel you should be sitting with 7. I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't be sitting with a minimum of 7. But look, it's in our hands. It's still in our hands. Yes, we might be 2 points behind Anna at the minute, but 2 games in hand. So as long as we keep it in our hands, I'm confident. It's when you have to go chasing something and you're not worrying about, or you're keeping one eye on what another team's doing. Don't worry about anything else until it gets that stage, if you know what I mean.
Again, it's just one more notch against the home form this season that it just doesn't fill you full of confidence. But I mean, look, as you said, 2 games in hand. Hopefully, we can win those. We're back in front, and get a result. I think 7 points is realistic from the 3 games, and I think 7 points would be a good return from those 3. So hopefully, the first of the 3 comes on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm. So, as we discussed in our last podcast, we have to do, we started a competition when we reached 100 subscribers, and we're now, I think, at the massive, probably 120 mark or something like that, maybe more.
130 now, I think.
Oh, jeepers, 130, heady heights. So we said that when we hit the 100 subscribers, we would do a competition for a signed either signed home, away, or third shirt, signed by the first team and presented by a player of your choice if they're so willing to do it. I haven't asked any of them yet. And if you really want to, you can get me and Ally present it to you as well. But
I don't think there'll be any kicking the door down for that.
Well, sometimes you just have to get out among your fans just to realise how popular or unpopular you actually are,
Yeah. Enough abuse at home, never mind being there.
Hopefully all 130 odd subscribers will be down at the match on Tuesday night. But we put all the names into one of those random generator thingies. which was a laborious task, let me tell you, having to type them all in. I'm sure there's an easier way of doing it, but I'm not the most technologically gifted in the world. So we picked it out, and I think we're going to post up the video as we're
going to play it right now.
We're going to play it right now. Good stuff. And so we put all the names in, and we hit start, and it's landed on Sean Mulholland. So Sean Mulholland from Ballyholland. Sean, we will be in contact. You can let us know what shirt it is that you want, home, away, or third, the special cup kit. You might want to get that one framed for the 2022 Irish Cup winners. But congratulations, Sean, and thanks everybody for entering and retweeting and sharing and following and all the rest of it. And hopefully we will get a bit more of a regular sort of podcast back in the go once we're sort of a bit free from work constraints and things like that from now to the end of the season. And we'll hopefully have an exciting time. There's going to be plenty to talk about, I feel, over the next couple of weeks.
Definitely, like we're hitting the run in now. This is the exciting time of the season, so it would be good to document that from the podcast and things. I think we've done well this season. Like I was looking back, I think we've done 25 videos this year, which is good going considering that we're having to do this part time and juggle work and lives and all that. So hopefully everybody just kind of has been able to keep up to date with it, get a wee bit of behind the scenes stuff, and I suppose just recounting last week, but looking forward to the following week's games, and we'll just keep doing that in the run in here, maybe a bit more frequent.